morning to you. You're very welcome. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Rob McGee. I'm the CEO at Ingenio. And this week, we are thrilled and delighted to be marking and celebrating International Women's Day. We're talking with 8 female leaders from a number of different areas and roles from right across the tech, software and SaaS industry. And I am super thrilled to be joined this morning by one of our clients. Susan Moran is Head of Marketing at Xtremepush. They're a SaaS business headquartered here in Dublin. And Susan, I am delighted to be talking to you this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. And I have to say, I've really enjoyed the previous chats we've had this week. I've learned a lot myself, I have to say.
Good. Well, just in terms of kicking off, Susan, clearly you don't need any introduction to me, but for those people who are tuned in, who don't know you and don't know Xtremepush, can you give us a little bit of background?
Yeah, so I'm Susan. I'm Head of Marketing at Xtremepush. I joined Xtremepush in October 2016. We're still technically a tech startup. They kicked off in 2015 here in Dublin. And we're a multi-channel engagement, personalization and data platform. So we help brands, B2C brands, understand their users across web and app, digest and collate that data into one single customer view, and then enable brands to engage their customers in real time, automated, intelligent messaging. So when we talk about engagement, we're talking about channels like app and web push, app and web inbox, email, SMS, your social channels. So we're a SaaS platform built for marketers to use. So we help brands talk to their customers and ultimately drive engagement and revenue across their web and app.
Interesting. So running marketing for an organization that sells marketing technology into marketing teams or departments or functions, like that's a lot of responsibility on you, right?
Oh yeah, and even now, 4.5 years in, sending that the marketing emails to our customers is still a very terrifying thing, because you know what they're looking for in it.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah, but I suppose actually that's a good way to break it down. But for us, it's really B2B marketing, and just trying to showcase how we can help them make their jobs easier, because ultimately we believe our platform will do that for marketers, help them save time and enable them to deliver multiple intelligent marketing campaigns across multiple channels.
Gotcha. Susan, when you left college or university, and I don't know, maybe some of your questions might kind of lead into some of this stuff, but was marketing the route that you always wanted to go down?
I've been thinking about this a lot over the last 2 days. Yes and no. Like in school, we did have I can't think of the word now, big guidance counselors, and they were kind of pointing me down the road of accounting, which in hindsight I would have actually been good at, but I think they told half the year that, so it kind of went in one ear and out the other. And then I did decide on a business and marketing course, but no, like on Monday I was in awe of listening to Keir Flood talking about how she had a poor day planned out and what she wanted to do. I was on a one-way flight to Australia when I finished college. But the marketing for me probably came through more like events. I was much more into the kind of production side of events, through various different jobs. And that's kind of where I saw myself going. And then the marketing path just kind of was a stepping stone, where like numerous of my first jobs would have had an event element to it within the role I was doing.
Gotcha. Okay. So look, I think, as you know, one of the things, Susan, that one of the primary objectives to us running this event this week is we're asking the same questions, obviously, to different people and getting entirely different answers and responses. And I'm going to just kick off with a couple of those questions, if you don't mind. So, I guess, look, the first one for me, when you look back, and like I always look at you as being someone who's progressed so quickly to a really senior position. So you might not necessarily have the length of career that maybe some other of the people that we were talking to, but you've clearly had tons of success. When you look back at your career today, what's what's the moment that makes you most proud, or what are you most proud of?
Yeah, I think kind of it's summarizing what you said in some ways, like actually building a career path. You know, I went to Australia, I went to London, I did various different jobs in London that ultimately did all contribute to getting to this role and starting this role. And learned a lot. Like, you know, I had an amazing job in London and Burberry doing events production. You know, you're talking London Fashion Week and everything.
Yeah.
But I was on a contract and I was just so overwhelmed and happy every time that contract got extended that I didn't really think about, you know, God, I should really be doing X, Y, and Z, or how can I fight to make this a permanent role? You know, I was just kind of happy. And like maybe that was like, you know, a fault to some ways, happy to go along.
Yeah.
But from that, I think you learn then when you go to your next job a little bit that you want in it. So, you know, for me then it was like the event side of it with a bit of marketing and making sure that was in every role. But ultimately, I suppose it's that back in Dublin, like this is my first permanent job in Dublin. So to find one that, you know, has given me great opportunity and, you know, one that I don't want to leave and I want to continue to build a career with and stay with Xtremepush is something that I'm definitely proud of, and to be able to find, you know, find that path for me, for want of a better word.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Really interesting. I didn't know that you had done a stint at Burberry. I never knew.
Yeah, like it was,
What an amazing brand.
yeah.
To, I guess, such an iconic brand to I guess, you know, earn your stripes.
Oh yeah, and like, you know, we'll come to this a bit on, but like, you know, I was in the headquarters there in London. It's like, I don't know, about 8 floors. It's the fanciest thing you've ever seen. But
Yeah.
Christopher Bailey, Angela Anharder, like you're talking to them, you're meeting them in the canteen. You have all these supermodels coming in, like their Christmas parties off the charts, and it's in the building. And then you're like, you know, then you're packing a van and you think it's all this glam, and then you've done London Fashion Week, and then you're packing a van like where people would, like where the postman would come in to go send these clothes off to Milan, like, and it's just, yeah, it's surreal when you think about it.
Oh, so diverse. God,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Susan, if you were to wind back, you know, and I don't know, maybe you might say to yourself, God, get on that plane to Australia, you know.
Yeah.
But if you were to wind back, and again, I'm thinking about, you know, you talking to, you know, young ladies who are starting their career, what's the one bit of advice that you would give to them?
I would say like break down the area you want to go into or think you want to go into and start joining the dots. So, you know, from when I think we don't probably take it, well, I personally definitely didn't take it as seriously enough from, you know, the decisions you're making in school, into college, into your first job. Now, at the same time, I do really want to reiterate everyone's path can change and, you know, you're not glued to those decisions. But
Sure.
if you do now think, for example, you want to work in marketing, then go, what is marketing? Like what courses would help you? Or when you're in college, then start looking at the job descriptions of various different roles, how they break down the roles and responsibilities, and then how transferable your skill set is as well, you know, from what your part-time jobs have been in college or anything of the projects, or, you know, if you have choices to make in college, what ones will they ultimately help you get a role in? You know, you hear people talk about digital marketing a lot, and it's this,
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah.
it's nearly like turned into a buzzword.
Yeah.
And, you know, everyone's paying so much money to these digital marketing courses. And you're like, what is it? What is it that you want to do with that afterwards? You know, do you understand that you could be like on the data side, or do you want to be on the data side? You know, do you want to be in Google Analytics all day? Is that what you want? Or, you know, are you seeing these great Oreo ads dropped in the middle of the Super Bowl and that's where you want to go? You know, I think it's kind of understanding what the, like, ultimately where you can go, but where you need to start as well.
Yeah. I was talking to Anna yesterday, who runs marketing in our business, and you know, I think it was interesting. One of the things she was saying was, in marketing, you get lots of these experts, you know, and even listening to you talk there about, you know, like production events at Burberry, and, you know, Google Analytics, all the way through to, you know, the Oreo ad at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, they're literally, like, those roles are as different as, you know, from being a postman to a doctor, right? I mean, it's like there's such diversity there in that function.
Yeah, and like there's such different skill sets. They're changing all the time, like no more than any other industry. So yeah, I quite enjoyed Anna saying that, because it's something, it's very true. At the same time, obviously no one wants to stand in someone's way if they want to be an expert at all these things. But realistically, you're not going to have the time in a day or a week or a year to be an expert in your role in all those areas that she was mentioning. Some people are saying, and like, I laugh when I'm like working through Xtremepush. Yeah, like when I started, I was the only person. And Xtremepush, as Rob, you're laughing there. It's quite an ambitious company led by quite an ambitious leader. And like, you're just smiling at him all the time, going, yeah, no problem. We'll have 20 functionalities in marketing, as one person from no marketing at all,
Yeah.
But yeah, there's things you just have to learn. There's things you make decisions that you can keep taking over, or things that you can do to grow. So, like we have a new guy, he was an intern and now he's become on full time. And like, I'm actively encouraging him, like take advantage of this. Like, we've Google Analytics, what Google courses are there, Google Ads, make sure you're taking advantage of all the things you can develop your skills in, and then make decisions about kind of what path you want to go down as well.
Yeah. Susan, that's amazing advice. That's amazing advice, I think. And I hope people really tune into that.
Yeah, because also like you're not going to know until you do it either. Like, you might think this is great, and then you've done a few weeks of it and you're like, no, get me out of here.
That's good advice too, I think. Yeah. Tell me this. When you kind of think about maybe the best or most worthwhile investment that you have made, in yourself, right? So time, money, energy, relationship, whatever the case may be, what comes up strongest in that?
I find this one quite hard, but I'd say probably ultimately looking back, probably London. I think in Ireland, especially coming from Dublin, you don't move away from college. You don't really mix your friends much. I made some great college friends. We still ultimately have your home friends. You're still in those bubbles all the time. But moving to London, it's quite an expensive city. It's quite a big city. So, you have to work, and you have to work hard. Like, I learned a lot, like, especially when I was in Burberry, I think, there's an attitude in Ireland nearly that, you're lucky to have a job where, just get yourself a job there and get going. And, that's great. And it's true. And hopefully we don't see too much of that now post COVID and this lockdown. Yeah. But, you're seeing all these 18, 19-year-old girls who know what they want to do, and they're doing it, and, pathing their way to do it. So that was a bit of an eye opener as well. But I think just like, all the various steps I took was a good, some of them, like I would never do the jobs again, like, recruitment companies, I don't know how you do it. But it definitely paved the way to where I am now ultimately.
Interesting. Can you remember making that decision to say, I'm going?
No, this is another thing we kind of laugh at. There's a few of us, we kind of joke that we move countries quicker than we order a takeaway. It take us hours to decide, and you're like, no, I'll just go to London. No, I finished college kind of when around the time 2006, 2007, when the crash was coming. It was kind of harder to get jobs. A lot of people, some of my friends are there, and I was just kind of, why not? It was good a time as any. I'd done Australia, I came back, I'd done a bit of work here and did a postgrad. And then it just kind of looked like a good opportunity. And, as I said, never really left Dublin previously, and it was good as time as any to do it.
Yeah. Good. So like, I guess the point being is sometimes, overthinking this stuff, or being really intent and deliberate, like the other side of it is you can kind of almost go on a whim and look how things work out,
Yeah, and it definitely, I think goes back to your personality, or maybe your expectations. Some people from a child. They're determined what they want to do. Other people, are just happy to, get through, see new things, experience new things. But I think there's a path for everyone. And, the most important thing, I think, is every time you do move a job or move a country or do something different, is that you take something, you learn something from the previous and make sure it's in the next one, So say if it's a job and you've decided I really like, I don't know, the digital marketing aspect, but you're going into kind of more of a generic role, but make sure there's a way that there is some work within digital marketing or within a specific part of that, or that there will develop into it, so each time you move, or like, for example, I was talking to a friend recently and saying like they were going to talk about, moving roles, but I was like, are you looking? She's like, no, I couldn't onboard remotely. Now, luckily she's in a position to be in that position, but like understand kind of, so learn kind of what are like must-haves or okays in your each time you do something.
Love it. Speaking about investments, and again, not being material, but I'm really interested in I think there's been some amazing answers to this question over the last couple of days. Have you bought anything recently that's kind of positively impacted, life?
I really struggle with this, and especially like Anna's answer yesterday was so beautiful. Yours was like, had such an impact on her life, and she's a nice story behind it. I just didn't want to sound really materialistic. But no, I don't know. I have a spin bike here beside me, which has been a good lockdown investment. But I think the Fitbit actually has been one. I think it has a good, it definitely gets you moving. I live in an apartment, so you're not doing any natural steps. So some days you look at your Fitbit and like, Jesus, I haven't moved. And it's definitely good for your brain and gets you out and moving. I think would be one for me.
Brilliant. Well, listen, that arrived to me from my darling wife for Christmas, and it's definitely, I mean, look, I'm into my fitness, but being aware of it, I think, is half the battle, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So, listen, I'm with you on that. In fact, I would definitely say that that's probably and I'm not into tech at all, and I'm not into material stuff, but it's definitely made a big difference to me.
Yeah, definitely. And it's something you can talk about in these times as well. But I definitely think it helps you get out and about, and it can make you shocked as well with how little you can actually do if you sit at a laptop all day. And
true. Susan, winding up. So I think the big thing for people tuned in today and watching this back and listening to you is, at Ingenio, we're set up as a business to help people, right? And usually that's people wanting to get into the tech industry or software SaaS space, for whatever reason that is. For the people that are tuned in today, what's the one tip? And I know you've hired lots of people and you're involved in lots of interviews and everything else at Xtremepush, and clearly you've had a number of different types of jobs. What's the one tip that you would give to someone who wanted to get hired by a tech company right now?
I kind of looked at this in two ways. I really liked some of the answers previously in this week, and kind of along the same line is a breakdown, like in terms of research, like really break down the tech industry. I think, especially when you're coming out of college now, what is it you're looking for? Is it the Facebooks, the Googles? Are you more into kind of the SaaS side, B2B, B2C? Understand the various roles, and then also understand who you are. Like, are you someone who, like personally, I was quite happy to join a startup, get stuck in, sometimes you kind of like a few more processes, but didn't really overly, stress me out. But are you the type of person who wants to go in somewhere where there's real clear structure and processes and a path, your larger corporate ones? Or do you want to be, ringing Rob McGee one day to hire an accountant and then, back to your day job the next? Like I was talking to you within weeks of starting an Xtremepush. And so I think it's kind of understanding where you like would feel comfortable and think it's better place for you to grow. And then exactly as I said yesterday, like understand where you're going, like look at the website, look at the news, and really have an idea of what the business does. And if you don't understand everything, don't be afraid to ask those questions in the interview as well, I would say.
Do you think you've hit the nail on the head for me in terms of I think people, people think about tech these days, and immediately they think about, the Googles, Facebooks, maybe to a lesser degree, the Microsofts, and and they don't think about, the types of technology that these organizations, sell
Yeah.
or provide. You've hit the nail on the head about the startup, right? I mean, do you want to go into a big beast of an organization? Do you want to go into something whereby, you can get your hands literally on everything? Like, does that level of research and homework, do you think people do that enough in terms of really understanding the different types of businesses?
Probably not. And I think once you kind of get to, I think it's a various, say, let's talk about 5 levels. Xtremepush is around level 1, level 2, and your Facebook's level 5. It's where and how do you find out the information? Like, I know you can look at LinkedIn, you can look at employees, but they if you're going for funding, they're not always really true and stuff like that. So you might think you're going into a certain company. So I suppose it's researching, reading, maybe if you know someone, or if you're a recruiter, for example, say if I was looking and asked you, or don't be afraid to ask people questions, kind of how you research, walk by the office, don't be afraid, no, they won't know you from Adam, they won't see you, but walk by, have a look at what the building is. But I do think understanding the employee size, how long it's been and going, if it's bootstrapped, if it's funded, things like that probably do matter when you're researching. I think it will save you A, getting a shock when you go in there, and B, understanding what's going to be expected of you a bit more.
Yeah, fantastic. Susan, look, on behalf of everyone who's watching and listening, and I think definitely to everyone that you've just helped, right? Whether you know this or not, but you definitely have in the last 15, 20 minutes. Look, a massive thanks to you for being so, well, listen, that's one of the reasons why I love working with you, right? You're so honest, you're so real. And listen, you're great fun alongside all of that stuff. So listen, I really appreciate it. And our continued best wishes to you and all the team at Xtremepush on some of that amazing stuff that you're doing. Thanks a million for this morning.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it, and hopefully helped. I just think everyone needs to know everyone's path is different, and I'm happy to help if I can answer any future questions for anyone. Amazing.
Guys, I hope you've enjoyed that session. I think serious value, serious insight, and take heed of everything I think Susan has said there this morning. We obviously we're here to help people, and obviously we've built a course to help people get hired in technology, SaaS and software. We're going to put some details of a program that we have basically built, along with some additional offers to help people get hired in technology, alongside CV profile reviews, and that those details will be followed up on email afterwards. But look, hope you've enjoyed the session. Susan, thanks again, and folks, have a great day. Look after yourselves.
Cheers, bye.
See ya.